All right. Well, hello, and welcome everyone to our BG5 Live. Today is April 21st, 2020. This is episode number 29. And today we're going to take a look at trait 27. We're also going to back up a little bit and take a look at trait 3 as well. But what we're going to be taking a look at today is caring for yourself first. So that's what we're going to be taking a look at today. So of course, before we get started, let's check in with our panel. So hello, and welcome, Natalie.
Hi, yeah, happy to be here. It's a real exciting times.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
Oh, and Chris.
Hey everyone, welcome. We're so glad you're joining us. And yeah, this is very exciting times.
Exactly. And I have been in contact with Lavina. She's starting to get better. She's still, I think she's going to start teaching her classes again, but she's still taking care of herself first.
Good.
That was perfect. All right, excellent. And welcome to everyone who is watching us via Facebook Live. Those of you who are watching us in our Zoom room, and those of you who are watching the recording via YouTube. All right, so let's kind of back up and kind of see where we've been, so we can continue to see where we are going. So if we take a look, I've just listed everything here, really since the crisis began, and the crisis in 36 started on March 13th. So we've been on quite a journey since March 13th. We've been through innocence, being the spiritual warrior, having stay-at-home orders. We've been through opinions, right? Teaching us all how to stay safe. We've been in control, right? The lockdown and feeling like we've been controlled or we're out of control. We had initiation and shock and awakening April 4th. So I think there hasn't been anything big or major, but I think there's been a lot of individual shocks that many of us have experienced through watching information that has been being released. And then we had last week, we talked about growth and completing a cycle. So coming to the end of the cycle with the virus really hitting its peak. And it's very interesting. We were in trait 3. We're actually in 27 now, but we were in trait 3 for the last week. This is trouble at the beginning. This started April 16th, and what I found that was really interesting is that on April 16th, that was the plan to reopen the states when that was rolled out. So in a sense, this sort of ordering, or this plan, if you will, on how to start to reopen the states. Now, where we are right now is in 27. This is Nourishment. It starts actually today. So we just moved into Nourishment. Next week, we'll move into rationalization. That's when the social distancing was extended to April 30th here in the United States. So it's going to be interesting to see if everything wraps up in the next couple of weeks. And then as we shift into purpose fulfilled through form with the 2 and the driver changing direction. So moving into purpose fulfilled through form, that starts on May 4th. Again, 23 is assimilation, starts on May 9th, and we have contribution starting on May 15th. So again, just kind of taking a look and watching as the story is unfolding. So I just wanted to check in and see either Chris or Natalie, if there is anything, or anyone in our Facebook Live or our Zoom room, if there's anything that you wanted to comment on, or anything that you recognize or see as we're going through and witnessing this story unfold.
I'll share something. So last week I was working on this piece of art behind me, of painting a collage, a mixed media project, and it's really about trait 3 and how it's, that difficulty at the beginning, or trouble at the beginning, and how there's some chaos that happens in order to start something new. And one of the things that we are really seeing on many, many levels, so we have this virus that's going on, but we're really seeing transformation, and on very deep, deep levels. And some of this transformation is literally happening underground. Some of it is happening under the awareness of most people. And also it's happening all around us. And it is really transforming the way we parent our children, the way we educate our children, the way we do business, the way we live, and the way we shop. So all of these different things is just to, if you take all of it in the big picture, instead of looking at every single little thing, and you kind of look at all of it, you know, there's crack, like you can't see the details, but there's all these little cracks that are happening in the foundations so that we can rebuild something new that is a higher vibration, a higher frequency state. And whenever that happens, whenever you're going to build something new in the at a foundational level, sometimes you have to bust some shit up, you know, like you got to crack the foundations to rebuild it. And that could be really challenging and really scary, but it is really for our highest and best good and everybody and the planet as well. And so, you know, just to be aware of what we're watching here is the energetic frequencies that are really supporting us through all of this. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful, Chris. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Anything, Natalie, that you would like to add?
I would like, because you do have some slides on trade 3, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So Leah has in the our Facebook Live, she says April 16th is also when the CARES payment plan, or what was it again? The PPP?
The PPP, or the personal protective, whatever. I believe.
Payment
plan. Yeah.
Yeah, something. And the,
oh no, PPP is the money that's supposed to,
yeah,
to
for the
get.
small businesses.
Right.
Yeah, and the AIDL program ran out of money and stopped taking applications. So trouble at the beginning. So hopefully, Leah, I hope for you in the States that today, when we start nourishing, that this will be approved and continue on.
Yeah. Yeah, really nice point. And again, you know, really mapping on what's happening, you can see this show up in many, many different ways. And so, you know, bringing your awareness forward as things change, just like Chris was talking about. I thought this was kind of interesting. I wanted to bring up what the transit was for today. I thought it was very interesting. A couple things, actually, for the last few days, both trait 3 and trait 50 were also activated as well. So we had drive and stamina. We had, here's 3 and here's 50. For a while, those were both, for the last couple of days, they've been activated. So we had the 360. This is all about mutation. So we have drive and stamina connected to the energy resource. And then we had the 2750 as well here activated. So in a sense, you know, the 50 is also about law, rules. This is about our survival as well. And what it is, this is the transit as it is as we started. I just thought it was very interesting. I don't know, I don't know what's going to happen, if anything's going to happen, but I just find it really fascinating that we have the 51 twice here. We have the 51 in the driving force, which is limitation. We also have the 54 in communication. The 4 is about limitation. And it's a reasoned make-do mentality that is ineffectual in times of severe shock. The superficial ego that lacks the resources to answer the challenge. And so again, who knows if or anything's going to happen, but I just thought it was very fascinating to see. You know, we had just recently talked about the 51, this shock, this awakening. So the fact that that this is in communication, so there may be a shocking communication. It's going to be in that for a while. So there may be some kind of shocking communication. And today it also happens to be in the driving force as well. And not only that, when we move into the 27, which we're in now, the life work theme is the unexpected. So there could be something very unexpected and shocking coming to light in the next couple days. Again, it may or may not, but just something to be aware of and pay attention to. Anything, Chris or Natalie, you want to add to this, and then we'll get to the three. I just thought that this was an interesting observation.
I'm kind of looking forward to it, honestly. I know that sounds weird, but I'm just like, bring it. Let's see. Like, let's just lay it all on the table, people. Like, let's just lay it on the table so we can see what we're dealing with here. So that's how I'm looking at it. Yeah.
Exactly. And it feels sort of like, it almost feels like we're collectively sort of holding our breath because we don't know, what's going on with the virus. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We don't know all of this stuff. So it's like this collective, it's almost like, there's this limitation, this sort of collective holding of our breath is what it feels like to me. And it's kind of like, okay, when is it going to break? When is it going to open up? When is, in a sense, the shock going to allow us to kind of take that deep breath?
Yeah. I'll also note too that today's an evaluator day. And I just think that's really interesting. We've been having that come up frequently during these, when we do the theme of the day, notice that it is. And so that is an evaluator day, just really looking at it that way. And then I just want to say one more thing is that if you happen to be feeling really anxious right now, like I know a lot of my friends and clients are, messaging me and they're like, I just feel anxious and I can't figure out what's going on. And it's like, hey, is this even your anxiety? Are you amplifying it? So again, just noting that it's an open emotional intelligence function day in general, but those of us who have our emotional intelligence undefined, are we amplifying anxiety and fears of others? And, or if you have it defined, are you feeling it and actually, really thinking it might be yours? And it's not, it's actually in the collective. So just that holding of the breath made me think of that. So everybody breathe.
Exactly. And I think that's part of the anxiety too, because we don't know. Yeah. Right? That's a lot of where anxiety comes from, is just simply not knowing. And, that's, I brought this up too, just because I thought this was hilarious.
I was so recognizing myself. This is
I know, me too. This is Sachanya, and he has the best memes, but I just thought that this was so perfect. And just to add a little levity and humor as well, this is how the profile lines deal with the global chaos. Right? And part of what Chris was talking about earlier, right? Part of trouble at the beginning is this chaos, right? And we're trying to create some order out of the chaos. So if we take a look at the different qualities, right? The quality one is the authority or in the investigator. So you read the news, you devour the infographics, you assess the risk, you become overwhelmed and and exhibit hypochondriac-induced symptoms, surrender, and then a deep dive into the next project. I can so relate to that.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and we all three have it, right? So that's
we all have a one line.
Yeah, we all have that.
But that is totally that first line. Because you're a 1-3, Karen. So this is going to be your primary. And Natalie and I are the 5s. I love that. Post articles with hard-hitting, deeply thoughtful viewpoints that inform others and open their minds. Like we're in there, like, come on.
Yeah.
No holds barred. The heretic is set loose,
Exactly. And the natural, I love this, the hermit, a sigh of the collective, we good. Secretly relieved that so many have so many things have been canceled, and so many people are finally understanding the value of staying at home.
Yeah, exactly. That's good.
And then the pioneer, right? I'm the 1-3. So, staying at home, leaving home, trying to feel afraid, trying to feel invincible, ogle cheap plane tickets, eventually settle on a happy medium that works for them, and wash their hands a lot.
Yeah.
So all about trial and error. The influencer, the social networks, check on all their friends and family and valuable people in their community and vulnerable people in their community. Then, like Chris and Natalie were talking about the Messenger, this universalization, post articles with hard-hitting, deep, thoughtful viewpoints that inform others to open their minds. Love that.
Yeah, power to the informed.
Oh yeah.
Wake up, people, wake up.
And the leader or the role model, remind everyone to stay calm, focus on the picture, take care of themselves, and use their gift and their energy in a positive way.
Yeah, yeah.
And I had actually some Dutch people share this as well, and they were 6'2s, both of them, and they were like, yes, you know, and really recognizing themselves in those two. That's yeah, brilliant.
I just thought that was hilarious and so apropos with what's happening right now. So you can check it out for yourself and see how you relate based on what you have. In public role, in human design terms, is known as the
profile.
Yeah, profile is known as the public role in BG5 terms.
Yeah. God, he is funny. He is funny as me.
So let's take a look at the 3. So the 3 that we were talking about earlier is this difficulty at the beginnings. And again, the headline on Thursday, April 16th, guidelines issued to open up parts of the US where coronavirus cases are in decline and testing ramping up. And so again, it's the putting things in order. It is kind of taking a look at, and again, we have all of this chaos. How do we put this chaos into some semblance of order? So it's the fundamental challenge of initiation is to transcend confusion to establish order. Because remember, 3 is very mutative. It's part of a strength that is a format strength, which really sets up, in a sense, the energy flow throughout the individual circuitry. So again, at first there may be chaos and we have to establish some sort of order out of that chaos. It's the individual expression that through example mutates or changes others. So whenever we're talking about mutation, this is about change. And mutation is generated and empowered. It's part of the energy resource. And there's an on-off creative pulse that prevails here. And I think this is part of what's happening, is that it feels like nothing's happening, nothing's happening, nothing's happening, nothing's happening, nothing's happening, nothing's happening. Or I don't know. And then all of a sudden something happens, or all of a sudden, we know. And again, I think this was where we've been. So it's been part of that holding of the breath. Like it feels like maybe nothing's happening when actually there's a lot happening, but it's below the surface, just like Chris was talking about earlier. So Natalie, there was a bit more that you wanted to talk about when we're talking about trait 3 and talking about ordering.
Actually, yeah. So, but what I want to emphasize here is the mutation. It is kind of a quantum leap, and I really feel like in the times we're in, and we've talked about this before, we are taking a giant quantum leap. Like the world will not be as it was before Corona, and the way we do things and the way we organize our business, we organize everything in society practically will be mutated, will be different, and with things happening right now and how politics are taking it and adjusting, that's the guidance towards this new way of doing things. Yeah. And also it is the individual circuitry. So I think also, people are kind of letting their voice heard, or I don't know how to say this, but not just so that's also kind of a different sensation I get there. So we're going to this individualism, individuality. That's what I was looking for. And you now see that people start also saying, well, the new normal, what should be the new normal? Is the new normal being distanced forever? No, we don't want that, right? So you kind of have this this process, this mutating process, and it will be difficult at the beginning because, yeah, like for everybody, for the individuals, for the collective, for the politics, how do we approach the new world? Right. So and we will settle into something, yeah, a new ordering, a new, yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm just watching the movie, as a lot of our Facebook guys were saying, oh, the movie is so interesting, you know, I cannot stop watching.
Mhm.
Yeah, so yes, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And anything, Chris, that you would like to add here, and anything also from the class forum as well.
I don't see anything in there too, although Bachul says, I also see that in almost everybody, fear and anxiety, and they even get mad at me when I say I'm fine and excited.
Yeah.
I think that goes back to, you know, what we're seeing is that there is, you know, there are people who are grounded. I saw something a couple of weeks ago. We're sort of like, okay, all the woo-woo people, you know, everybody was judging the woo-woo people, and now, you know, and sort of like all the woo-woo people are like, oh, this is okay, this isn't bad, you know, and everybody's freaking out. We're like, yeah, it's okay, you know. So I think that we're really, not only are we seeing the mutative process in the foundations of our, again, our education, religion, government, you know, financial systems, you know, business, all of these things in our personal lives. But, you know, we're seeing sort of where people's mindset is at. Where are they in their level of consciousness and awareness? And I don't mean that in a judgmental way. I just mean that is where, how are you seeing the world? How are you, you know, really viewing the media? How are you taking in information and letting that determine? And this goes back to what Natalie
How
was
you
saying
feel.
about the individuality. It's like we've been talking about this for weeks now. In as this mutation that is happening in humanity, we're moving out of planning, out of where the powers that be tell us what we're supposed to think and feel and do, and moving into our own individual power and authority. And so this is just, you could look at this as like, wow, this is a time for each of us to mutate and go, what do I think is really true and what's really going on here? I'm going to investigate that for myself. And it's okay. I talk about it as like survival guilt. You know, it's okay to be happy right now, people. It's okay to be satisfied. It's okay to have fun doing your business. It's okay to work. It's okay to sell. It's okay to have a life right now. In fact, it's required, because the more that we template that and hold that frequency, the more it's going to help other people. You know,
Yeah.
it's jumping in the pool does nothing. Jumping in the pool to save does nothing. It just makes everybody drown.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Exactly. Go
And
ahead.
getting back to that, so I totally get what you when you say, Chris, that people look at you like you're okay, like you're not afraid, you're actually relaxed, and you're actually good, and you actually are enjoying the show,
yeah.
which is in essence, you know, watching the movie. But so I'm so grateful again, and all of you here, for this information, to be able to see it as a, you know, it needs to be shaken to be able to change, and having that confidence in have that it's going to be a shock, nothing but a shock, right? That's what Ra said. So really gives the tranquility and makes you be able to, you know, live from yourself, and also, you know, sending out love to those that are in fear. So yeah, and helping the world with that. That's kind of what we are able to do with giving this information, and pointing out, and showing you the timeline, and you know what the frequency is, and that it's all related, etc. So yeah, I'm really grateful for what we can share, and that we have our weekly show.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Are there any comments, either in Facebook or in our in our Zoom room.
So right now, Miriam in the Facebook says, thank you for showing up in such a positive, inspiring way. Blessings to you and the whole BG5 community.
Oh, thank you.
Nice.
Yeah. And Sarah says, if we look at yesterday, the 3.6, the Meditative line to the next hexagram, the oil industry entered turmoil yesterday. It was headed there, but came to fruition yesterday.
Right.
So yeah, that will have new ordering probably as well, and you know the process has started. And then some second lines here. Yes, really loving. You know, actually, what Isabella says. Second line here. I'm so relieved. I'm also secretly hoping this won't be soon over. Love it.
I know, it's so great.
Yeah, yeah. And the other one, I can't complain at the moment. The 16. So yeah, so wonderful sharing. And maybe you want to do the ones in the Zoom room, Chris.
Well, we have a question that says, how you relate different countries how do you relate different countries and their level within the COVID-19 and the cosmic effect? Not all are at the same level as in the US. I think that might be a bigger discussion outside of today. Great question though. Yeah, this is huge. And then someone else is saying, I'm discovering in my 5-2 in my human design, but I've been looking for this time forever as I never fit into the previous systems. And this person is an express builder in BG5. So welcome. I'm glad that you're finding your way through this. It's true. Like once we start to see, oh my gosh, there's so much about ourselves that we can see, and we can see how we fit into all of this, that each individual fits into the whole and our contribution, and then how the whole is coming together. And that's really what we're focusing here in BG5. And so, but I think that's a great segue into trait 27, which is about taking care of ourselves. Although it looks like we have trait 42.
27 there, Karen.
Oops. Whoops, I forgot to change the slide. Okay, hold on one second. I'm gonna do this really quick because it's
we're gonna have it editing. Hold on, everybody. In progress.
Whoops.
Yeah. So
let's do that real.
So the naming is correct. Yeah.
Yeah. It's correct.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go. All right.
Oh, okay. So I want to make sure that's correct. All right. So the 27 of nourishment, and the first rule of caring is caring for oneself first, right? So it's something that we need to continue to do as well. So it's about trusting yourself and nourishing and taking care of yourself. So to nourish and nurture through the power of compassion. This is about the enhancement of the quality and substance through caring. This is also the compassion and the energy to care for the weak, to care for the sick, to care for the young, right? And a huge shout out to all of our healthcare providers that have been really, walking us through this whole crisis, right? This whole epidemic, this whole pandemic. And one of the things that they especially have to be careful for is you can easily end up sacrificing yourself or your own well-being for others. So you must care for yourself first in order to have the energy and the resources to care for others. And this goes back to what we're talking about being an individual, right? And trusting ourselves and following our decision-making strategy. Yes, it's important to care for others, but if you care for others when, for example, you're not invited or you're not recognized, or you're just, or you're just sacrificing yourself, for the good of others, sometimes that's not what is really correct. It really is about caring for yourself first so that you have the energy, so that you have the resources to care for others. This also represents nurturing parents. It's the mother, the father. And there is a frequency of trust that is carried within this trait. So anyone who has the 27, people naturally trust. There's a sense of trust there. You know, think of our doctors and our physicians, the people that care for us, right? There's a natural trust that's built in, that we believe that they're doing things, you know, with the proper intent and the, you know, and doing things for our own good. So there is a frequency of trust there as well. So again, it's really important that we're taking care of and we're nurturing ourselves first. Anything you'd like to add, Chris or Natalie?
It's interesting because this can, for some people, and this is just goes to kind of how we've been raised, and sort of like, you know, being selfish, that's selfish, you know, and that's not okay. And there are whole constructs out there in communities, whether they're religious constructs or spiritual constructs, or, you know, even in even the constructs within the medical field and sort of other places where it's sort of like, this is what you do. You just give without, you know, without taking care of yourself. And it's finding the balance. There's discernment here, you know? And so many people are so afraid of being seen as selfish that it's really about, you know, as you're saying, like when we nurture and nourish ourselves and take care of ourselves, we have more energy to actually serve at a higher level. And to have that discernment and awareness is so important. It's so important.
Exactly. And with that, because what we're looking at, we're also taking a look at the trait 1. So I wanted to cover that as well, since Chris just was talking about this. If we take a look, remember, whenever we're taking a look at the quality 1, this is about the authority, but it also sets the foundation for the entire trait. And so if you can see that the foundation here is what Chris just said, it's selfishness. So the first rule of caring is care for yourself, right? We hear this over and over whenever we're on an airplane, right? They always say to put on your mask first, right, before you assist others. It's the same thing here. We have to put on our mask first. We have to take care of ourselves first before we have the capacity and the energy to assist others. So the elevation is the power to care for oneself first. The ego-driven first law of caring for oneself, which is not necessarily at the expense of others. There's also the challenge, the power of selfishness that is manifested through envy, and its attendant misfortune. So again, we need to balance out that selfishness. And again, we've been talking a lot about this individuality but if we take a look at where the 27 is, the 27 is part of the tribal circuitry, right? So in order to support everyone else in the tribe, right, we need to also be responsible for ourselves. And this is part, I think, of what's happening, as Chris was mentioning earlier, with all of these big constructs that were developed in the era of planning, whether it be education or government or business. All of these huge institutions are starting to break down. And, you know, in this time where people are so maybe dependent, you know, on a job from a large corporation, or dependent on, you know, anything, you know, large school systems, right, to teach our kids, where now the responsibility is getting turned on us, yeah. Right? Turned on us to now, you know, teach our kids at home, turned on us to take care of our health, make sure that we're healthy, make sure that we're, you know, if we're taking care of ourselves, you know, we can make sure that others are healthy as well. You know, so it's, again, I think it's a real sign of the times and really the process that we're going through.
Yeah, so Isabella says, I've seen several people in my social media declare publicly today that they are making a choice to take for themselves first, to take care for themselves first, which is such a great decision. And actually, I saw also in social media a video clip of a nurse that actually works in Central Park in New York, and she just videoed herself coming back from work crying, saying there's so much suffering that she's seeing, but she doesn't want to call her mom because she's worried anyway. and though most of the nurses and people that work there are from elsewhere, so they are in hotels, right? So she was in a hotel, and you know, been working there from the very beginning. So and just, you know, getting it out, and you could feel like, and talking about this, I'm like, take care of yourself, take a break, right? Take just, you know, if it's for and you can't. So the previous slide about the nurses, it's really, it's tough times, right? And then still be, so I'm happy this frequency is now there for them as well. Yeah, to hopefully help them to sustain what they are doing and how they are providing care. And the other thing I wanted to share, I read an article, or it's actually also a post, of a nursing home. Is that what you call nursing home for elderly people? So yeah, so a director, and she said, so that's the last thing also here in the Netherlands, that they probably will like open up for public, right? And she was like boldly stating, you know what, those people that are in these homes are weak and have things anyway. We have death daily, even without corona. One of the important parts of life is care, like physical care, the quality of life. That's what she was referring to. And we're taking that away from them by being so she was actually going against the government policy, right? Like why these people, you know, in their last days, they like their family to be there, and it puts tremendous pressure on the nurses, because they are doing both jobs now, right? You know, doing the nursing and kind of being there. And she says it's so stressful, and then you don't even think about that. You go like, well, you want to, and she was like, so what the heck, save another day for these people? So, you know, and then taking away their quality of life for the last few days that they live. I was shocked. So there's shock in the air as well. Like, whoa, I never, you know, it switches your perspective.
Right.
And well, I like, so what I heard in the States, they're going to have checks, right? So tests at the entrance. I think that's a good thing, right? So that, but at least have it. Oh my God, it breaks my heart just seeing people in hospitals and in nursing homes that are there and that are dying alone, that are suffering alone.
Right.
Which is heartbreaking. And that's actually her cry out was for that. And so if we talk about care, and she was actually kind of selfish in the sense of taking also care of her staff, right? Like, yeah, they also need to, but there are two sides to this story.
Right.
Yeah. So I was, anyway.
Yeah, and I think that's an important point. And as we move, you know, we moved from this individuality of this, of the three, right? And trouble at the beginning, and this format, mutative energy, to now this is in a sense the cradle of humanity here, as part of, you know, the 2750 and the 59.6 on the other side. You know, it's really, you know, we all need to be nurtured, right? In one way or another. And that connection is also very important. Again, it's more of this tribal feel of, you know, how do we support others while also supporting ourselves?
Yeah.
Yeah, very good point.
And yeah, my sister has this trait in her life, or it's actually her conscious core essence. And she is so good in forgetting about herself and caring about, well, she's actually working with vulnerable people. And that's really a life lesson. It's really hard for people who have the 20 self to take care of themselves. Yeah? They want to give, they want to care. That's their, you know, that's their, you know, their being.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Exactly.
And then we have the conditioning field of that it's selfish or egoistic selfish, but where it's not.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's something for, again, all of us to consider, again, in that sort of tribal sense. How do we take care of ourselves? And also, again, how do we nurture and take care of others? Now, we do have our celebrity for today, which is Jack Nicholson.
Oh,
which,
really?
it was
That was
so,
unexpected,
I
actually.
know.
That's super
Unexpected, exactly. So this is in the 27-1, and it's interesting, the 27-1, the life work theme is the unexpected. So you're naturally initiated by by the unexpected towards a whole new series of experiences, which ultimately nourish and expand your intelligence. And it's funny, if you think of Jack Nicholson and you think of the characters that he plays, he often plays a very selfish type character, right? Where he's taking care of himself.
He does.
So he's been in The Shining, in The Departed. He won an Academy Award for the best actor in his roles in One Who Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and Good as It Gets, and best supporting actor in Terms of Endearment. And he also portrayed the Joker in the 1989 Batman as well. So again, kind of unexpected. And again, we're over the next few days, that's kind of the background theme as well, is the unexpected. So again, who knows what's going to happen, but there's the potential of the unexpected coming out.
It's just fascinating. I'm always blown away. And this is one great example of this. Yeah. His characters are really like the most bold people ever, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Interesting.
All right. Well, again, Lavina does have this as part of her design. Unfortunately, she's not back with us yet, but hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll be able to see her. I was hoping maybe she could stop in and say hi. But again, sending our prayers out to Lavina. Again, she is nurturing and taking care of herself first. And Chris, you don't have the 27, but you do have the 50 on the other side.
I do, and it's interesting because I definitely feel a lot of pressure to be more nurturing, a lot of pressure to be like, I'm a mom who is like, okay, you guys, like, what are you doing? Are you taking care of, like, did you make dinner? I am not a helicopter mom. That's for dang sure. So it's funny because my husband and I both have the 50. Neither of us have the 27, but there's a lot of pressure as a woman, as a mother, to be that. And I'm very much like, okay, everybody, how are we going to take care of ourselves? Everybody's got to take care of themselves, and so it's interesting how that works.
Exactly. All right. Well, again, I do invite all of you, if you're new to BG5, if you want to find out more information, make sure you visit our website. You can get a free report there. Also, you can follow along to see the traits as they're happening. You can also watch past episodes in the free resource library as well. And we do have our new courses that are coming up in May. We also, on Wednesday, we have a special webinar. And if you go to the main page, you'll be able to find the link, but we have a webinar on evaluators. So we're going to have a discussion with a group.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Yeah, Wednesday, tomorrow. Yes. So we do have it coming up tomorrow. So I invite you to join us.
That will be a fascinating one as well.
Yes, most definitely.
Really. Yeah. We have nice.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. And any last words from anyone in Facebook, and anyone who is live here in our Zoom room, or Chris or Natalie? Any last suggestions, observations, things to pay attention to as we go through this next week in taking a look at nurturing and taking a look at caring for ourselves?
Yeah, so don't feel guilty nurturing for yourself, and maybe nurturing for your family first before you nurture the whole wide world. Everybody is in yeah, in the coronavirus crisis, whatever. And yeah, if we all take care of ourselves, we're able to ground and to send out love. So I'm, yeah, don't feel guilty doing that. It's important, and especially since we've been in quarantine for so long, you know, you kind of are getting to the edge of maybe being exhausted um, from the tension, and you feel like you need to do something. Just take care of yourself, relax, and enjoy the ride again. But yeah.
Nice. Thank you, Natalie. How about for you, Chris?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about for 2020, trait 27, I can't remember where it's activated, but it's activated all year. So this is actually something that for the whole year in the transit for the year is activated. And then right now it's activated even more in our conscious sun. So this is going to be a theme, not just right now intensely, but also over this whole year. So I beyond when we're out of quarantine, like, how do you continue to take care of yourself? How do you continue to take care of yourself personally, as Natalie was saying, but also professionally and in your business? Like, what are the things that, now that you may have a little pause. I don't know. I think my fellow panelists and I, we haven't paused. We're working the whole time. We still have our businesses, where are you going, wow, maybe it's time for me to do something that feels more nurturing and nourishing for me. I think I look at a lot of people who are transitioning or furloughed or losing their jobs right now, and they're like, wow, this was the best thing ever. I'm really glad, because I never would have left and taken care of myself if I hadn't had something outside of me doing that. There are people out there that are having that experience, and they're looking to actually do something that's going to nourish them and nurture them and have them live a life that's more satisfying or successful or peaceful or delightful, depending on their career type. So, I look at that as, how can we really, again, as we move into the era of the individual, like, how do we take care of ourselves? And this is setting the foundation for that. That's really what's happening right now, if we follow the energy on the, on the macro level, all the way down to the micro level, the fractal, if you will. So, yeah. So this has repercussions that are beyond this week of taking care of yourself.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, beautifully said, Chris, and beautifully said, Natalie. And as Natalie said, don't feel guilty for being, taking care of yourself first. Also, again, this is, as Chris was mentioning, it can be a huge opportunity. Oftentimes, something like this is a blessing in disguise, right? Things could never have happened if, things didn't play out in the way that they played out. And so it really is, in a sense, taking advantage of this time, taking this advantage of this time to take care of yourself, taking advantage of this time to kind of take a look at and assess, what is most important to me? How can I, take care of, as Chris was saying, not only myself, but my business and everything else moving forward into the future. Awesome. All right, everyone, it has been an absolute pleasure. We look forward to reconnecting next week and seeing what unfolds in this next week. So be safe, follow your decision-making strategy, and we'll see you on next week. Bye, everyone.